I'm hoping that you'll benefit from looking over this exam that I gave a group of my students recently on economic indicators. First of all, the CPI is a weak indicator of the cost of living because it only measures prices in population centers. That's the very definition of the urban bias. On your test, I might be pointing towards other biases like technology substitution or consumer, so be ready for any of those. Next, which of the following is not a lagging or trailing indicator? All of these are not lagging or trailing indicators. Current employment is a current indicator. Dow Jones, S&P, and mortgage rates for new projects are all leading indicators or anticipatory indicators. Net exports is equal to your total exports minus your total imports. That's the formula for that, C. Next one, think about the formula for GDP. Y is equal to consumption plus investment by firms, government spending, exports, and so forth. If you're looking for Thanksgiving dinner expenditures, it's consumer spending, A. The business cycle goes through its troughs down here at A and E, its peaks at C and G, its expansion and recessionary periods. The question 5 is asking about a recession phase, that's C, D, E. Question, answer A. Number 6, which of the following is true of unemployment? It's defined as the number of people actively looking for work who do not have jobs, but there's also a psychological consequence and the result of the economy operating inside its production possibilities for all of the above is the answer. Question 7, if a person is fired for poor performance but possesses skills required to obtain another job after some searching, they are frictionally unemployed. A. Next one. An increase in the general price level is the very definition of inflation. There are also other ways to think about inflation. You should take note of them. They include things like the government prints too much money, too many dollars chasing too few goods, a average increase in the price level, and things along that line. For instance, devaluation of the currency. Number 9, the unreported or illicit production of goods and services in the economy that's not counted in GDP is termed the underground economy. Number 10, economic indicators are to the national economy as vital signs are to the patient. Number 11, which bias inherent in the CPI describes the lack of a mechanism to adjust for differences in buying behavior across different demographic segments? That's the consumer bias. If it had asked about different locations and population centers, if it had asked about changes in technology or referred to uneven price level changes, that we would have had a different answer. Question 12, Alexander recently received a 6% pay raise for the same year inflation rate was 4. So the nominal increase in pay was 6, but the real rate was only 2. For question 13, the per capita GDP is calculated by taking the nominal GDP and dividing by the population. It's a measure of the standard of living in the country as used for comparison purposes, right from our study sheets. Cyclical unemployment occurs when a downturn in the economic activity or when you have a recession. Answer A. Question 15. If the U.S. economy enters a recession, the labor unemployment rate tends to increase. That's true. People lose their jobs and the economy goes into a free fall. Here we have a situation where the GDP of 56 in quarter 2 of year 25 then increases to 58, increases to 60, increases to 64, and then decreases to 63. Then it increases to 65, decreases to 63, decreases to 61, and decreases to 60. So we see we have a recession here because it's at least 2 consecutive declining quarters of GDP, and it started in quarter 4 of year 26. Therefore, the answer is the recession began in year 26 and lasted 3 quarters. Here, we've got a population of 1,100, unemployment of 40, institutionalized governorians of 90, military service of 10, and retired of 500. In order to calculate the labor force participation rate, you would subtract those that are unable to participate, and then subtract from that the number of people that are unwilling to participate, and you find that the labor force participation rate is 50%. 500 people out of 1,000 are willing to and able to participate in the labor force in Governor. And out of those 500 people that are part of the labor force, since there are 40 of them that are unemployed, that makes 8% of the country of the labor force is unemployed. Number 19. The CPI is a measure of inflation and is known as the cost of living. E is the correct answer for CPI. The question 20. Consider the screenshot below. Let's take a look at this. And we see that there's a discrepancy between the official unemployed, which is 8.7 or 8.8 million people are officially unemployed, and 17.5 million actually unemployed. That's quite a discrepancy. And why is that? Well, the actually unemployed include people that are discouraged and have given up looking, that people that are underemployed, people that are looking for jobs, but they also qualify officially as institutionalized. Let's say they're going to college. There's lots of people that are really unemployed that would love to have a job, and they don't count as officially unemployed. So it fails to include discouraged workers as an acceptable answer. B for 20. 21. Choose the term which has the least in common with the other terms. Well, business cycle, law of undulation, expansion, and recession all have to do with the business cycle and the ups and downs in the business cycle. The one that doesn't is E. So we choose E as the correct answer to question 21. 22. Bob's assembly line job is replaced by robots. Bob lacks abilities and skills required to attain other jobs. He is considered structurally unemployed. Last page. Full employment is not zero unemployment because there's normal friction in the economy made up of those workers who are between jobs and those new entrants to the labor force. Answer. Question 24. In sequential order, you can have your peak, contraction, trough, and expansion. As Connor says, as long as contraction follows peak and expansion follows trough, then you've got the right sequence. Which of the following price indexes is designed to measure changes in the price of goods and services purchased by a typical individual? Well, typical individuals are covered by the consumer price index. If I was asking about buying behaviors of producers or of other behavior, then I'd be looking at a different answer. Last three questions. The consumer price index is a measure of inflation for an elderly couple and retired in Yuma? Not very good, no. Farmers? Nope, they're in rural areas. Apple computers? Nope, that's the producer price index. Typical consumer in the market basket? Yep, bingo. D is the correct answer for question 26. Here we've got the circular flow. Money flows from businesses through the factor market into households because households are providing, arrow C, resources to the businesses, such as labor and investment dollars and so forth. Up here, businesses then provide products and services to the households, and households pay money, arrow A, to the businesses. Let's take a look at it. The top two arrows of the figure refer to the product market. The bottom arrow refers to the factor market. Which arrow represents the final consumer goods and services? Well, consumer goods and services is arrow B. Answer. Bonus 28. Many economists argue that real GDP is not a good measure of economic well-being because it excludes increases in leisure time, right? If your leisure time increases and you live well, then that would be a measure of your well-being, but it would also be a lower GDP because you're not working. Bonus 29. What can be expected to happen in a country that enacts trade barriers? The rate of immigration might not change. The rate of economic growth will decrease, yes. The rate of population growth might not be affected, and the rate of technological innovation will decrease, if anything. Answer B. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the review. You have a good day.